That's fucking brilliant days. Brilliant days. Brilliant days we didn't get a break. Go on, Jan. Go on. Get a drink. Bob.
Hello and welcome to the ROKER RAPPORT Player Ratings podcast in association with Sunderland Community Soup Kitchen. My name's Rich Spate and I'm joined down the line from Peterborough by Malc Dugdale. How are you, mate?
I'm well, but I'm very, very confused after what's been a very interesting afternoon.
It was, wasn't it?
Honestly, that was some kind of freak of nature, that game, but we'll come on to that. But I'm very well, Rich, and I hope you are too, mate. Nice to talk to you.
I am. The sun is shining, which for where I live on the side of a mountain just makes life a lot easier. And Mike, I'm sure the sun's shining for you because you're the other side of the Irish Sea in Dublin. How are you today, mate?
Yeah, a bit like Malc there, slightly confused after that performance. For about 75 minutes, I was giving out to myself that I didn't watch the rugby, but in the end, I'm feeling a little bit better after the end.
A really tough game there against Crewe away from home, and we've come out of it 2-2. We started the game with Lee Burge in goal, Conor Mclaughlin, Deon Sanderson, Luke O'Nien and Calum McFadzean at the back, Lyndon Gooch, Max Power, Josh Scowen in the midfield, and the front three of O'Brien, White and Mcguire. What did you think of the lineup, Malc?
I thought it was a strong offering before the game. I think there's a lot of argument that we've got to rotate some of the older players like Mcguire and Leadbitter. So, I wasn't surprised that there was some talk that Scowen had a bit of a tweaky hamstring or something. So I wasn't surprised that was a bit of rotation. But yeah, I was happy enough with the lineup. I was hoping Jones might have got a start because I think he deserved it. And obviously, we'll talk about his performance in the game a bit later on. But yeah, there was lots of different formations that we could have gone for. But the staff, I think, were more or less what I was expecting. So yeah, I was happy enough with it before the game for sure.
Yeah, so it was Leadbitter who came out for Scowen, Mike. And yeah, when that team sheet was released, I had it written down as a 3-4-3. But it was a 4-3-3 in the end. Do you think that was the right system to go with, Mike?
Yeah, he went for a flat back four, which I thought was kind of strange considering the success we were having with the three at the back over the last couple of weeks. I think it backfired. I don't think it worked out. And I think, obviously, as you could see in the first half, we were absolutely deplorable. I think the midfield got a little bit overran just with Scowen and Max Power in there, kind of. They both underperformed anyway, but I just think that the Crewe midfielders really took control of the game, and there just seemed to be so much space everywhere for the Crewe players getting forward. So it was quite clear that the system wasn't working. We obviously failed the way we were playing. We failed to get Aidan Mcguire into the game at all, any capacity. So it didn't really work out, and I was surprised that he kind of persisted with it for as long as he did. It took a while for him to make a change. But yeah, the system certainly didn't work out.
No, and certainly in that first half, let's run through the incidents in the first half really quickly. I mean, Lyndon Gooch had a decent shot on 16 minutes, but to be frank, it was all Crewe from then on in. Sanderson made a mistake on 22 and to be fair to himself, recovered for a good clearance. Then they scored on 29 minutes. It was far too easy for them to get through our defence. It was Calum McFadzean was absolutely at fault for the goal there. And then on 30 minutes, they could have scored again. And they did get their second goal on 37 minutes, which was very similar to the first in that we seemed to get caught short, didn't we, Malc?
We did, yeah. I mean, I agree with Michael's comment there. They just had so much space. There's no way that formation could have been right. The team, I think the guys on the, whatever they call it, the stream or whatever, mentioned that the fellas never got off the bus or something like that. It's one of them statements that you use when you're playing away from home. I'm not sure. I do think it was a big formation challenge. And that one, both goals were what my son used to call sweaties. I don't know if that's a common term on like FIFA and stuff like that. Where they just tippy-tapped it around, squared it, and somebody had a tap in. It could have been worse than 2-0 at the end, before we started to get back into the game. But it was very, very disjointed in the first half. And my son was kind of watching it with me on the couch. And he said, I might just bugger off, Dad. I've had enough of this. And I called him a plastic fan, and then he stuck around for a bit, and I'm pleased he did.
I thought Crewe were by far the better team in the first half. I thought we sat a little bit deep and which probably betrayed the fact that we were nervous with that formation. And I thought we looked leggy and tired, and I think Danny Collins mentioned that a few times. He did say that we hadn't got off the bus. I thought, Mike, that it looked like we turned up expecting it to be an easier game than it was, which is strange because in the pre-match presser, Lee Johnson was singing the praises of Crewe, saying how talented a team they were and how they like to play good football. So, yeah, I don't know what you thought of maybe the reasons for that crap first half from us, Mike.
Yeah, there was certainly a complacency there from the way we played. I don't know if it was on purpose, if people were coming in overconfident considering the last couple of weeks we had. But I suppose Crewe have actually been playing quite decently lately. They came into the game in a little bit of form, if I'm led to believe. So they were playing quite well. I think they just got the better start. And I mean, as you said, we were a little bit deep and we were kind of inviting the pressure onto us. I mean, every week I'm on this podcast giving out about this chap at Mcfadzean, and again, it's just... Everything seems to be coming down the wing he's on.
Yeah,
it's becoming a bigger and bigger issue as the weeks go on, and it's certainly, I think, something that has to be looked at going forward as well, because it's just too many mistakes are coming from that man. And I just think as the game went on in the first half, obviously, as I said before, the midfield, the Crewe got more and more confident. Mandron absolutely dominated, I thought, Luke O'Nien and Sanderson for more or less the whole first half. So I think it was just the Crewe's confidence grew as the game went on, and we just looked completely off the pace.
Yeah. So we went into half-time probably lucky to be 2-0 down. My note at half-time was that we needed to bring Jones on because I thought O'Brien didn't have a great performance. But there was no changes at half-time, and on 52 minutes, my word, I think we had a let-off when the ball went through Lee Burge's legs after being cut back in from the byline. The referee called that the ball had gone out, which... I don't think the whole of the ball across the whole of the line. A minute later, Aidan O'Brien had a half chance on a volley that he just stuck over the bar, and then 5 minutes later we made 4 substitutions. Jones, Mcguire, Leadbitter and Diamond coming on for Mcfadzean, Gooch. It was O'Brien and McGeady came off as well. And then 2 minutes later we had a horrific injury to Grant Leadbitter. Mark, that looked painful, didn't it?
It's weird though, isn't it? I mean, it looked absolutely innocent as the day is long. You know, he fell over and tried to kind of, you know, stop his face from hitting the grass by putting his arms out. But I agree with what some of the commentary was saying. I know a lot of lads who've got motorbikes, and a few mates have got skiing habits in the winter. And if you put your arms out and you get the pressure wrong, you pop your shoulder, don't you? The bloke's, you know, a footballing legend as far as the squad that we've got at the moment, you know, and he doesn't go down easy, and you could hear him whimpering, you know, so he was obviously in a lot of grief. So good luck to the fella. You know, we talked about the rotation being needed for some of our more mature players. I didn't want it to happen like that. I wanted it to happen because we choose when we take him off, you know what I mean? But yeah, absolutely innocuous challenge from the Crewe player. You know, we'll have to see what comes out in the press about Leadbitter's injury and the recovery period, you know. Hopefully it'll be reasonably short, because we do need his knowledge and his calming influence in the central midfield at times.
Yeah, he was replaced by Carl Winchester, and we'll come to his performance, but I thought he was neat on the ball, if not without really doing anything in particular to affect the game. The game was really scrappy, I thought, for much of the second half. We had no control over the game for large periods, but then on 75 minutes we came into it a little bit more in the lead up to it, but we had a fantastic individual goal from Jordan Jones, cutting in from the left and hitting it on his right and leaving the goalie with absolutely no chance whatsoever. We then had 2 free kicks from Chris Mcguire that could have ended with an equaliser. I think one was Luke O'Nien just missed out with a header on 77, and then on 89, if Deon Sanderson had stuck his boot out, he would have put the ball in the back of the net. Mcguire really did affect the game at that point, didn't he? When we were getting back into it, Mike, it was Mcguire who was at the centre of everything.
The king is back, Rich. The king is back.
Long live the king. Yeah.
No, he was really, really good when he came on, and I'm glad you mentioned those crosses. I think the first one he put in for O'Nien, O'Nien should have done so much better with that header, because it was a clear free header from him. But himself and Jordan Jones, when they came on, made a massive impact, and probably, obviously, they got the 2 goals, but other than that, their performances, they're the only reasons we got something out of the game. You said as well, we never really sustained pressure, and even when they came on, they had glimpses of good play, but yeah, we certainly got out of jail with that Mcguire goal, and it was great to see him playing that like that, because it's been a while since we've seen a good performance from Mcguire. So hopefully it can continue over the next few weeks, because I'm sure there'll be a few changes after today's game.
After those near misses, we had 9 minutes of injury time announced because of all of the changes and because Grant Leadbitter had been, I think, on the ground for about 6 minutes. 6 of those 9 minutes went by before Malc, we saw maybe one of the best goals, best finishes we've seen from a Sunderland player for quite a while. I mean, I know Grant Leadbitter scored a screamer earlier in the season, but my word, Malc, Chris Mcguire's volley was something else, wasn't it?
You could have had 4 goalies and they wouldn't have saved that, honestly. That was an absolute peach of a goal. And very, I'm over the moon for Chris Mcguire. There was a lot of chatter a few weeks ago about, is he part of the coach's plans? Is he now, fading off? People were wondering if we might sell him in the January window. But when he comes on and plays for half an hour like you did just there, you just remember the lad that, turned up with a little bit of a questionable reputation and absolutely showed people what he can do. And he's done it again today, It reminded me a little bit the other week. I think it was Conor Mclaughlin had a chance on the edge of the box a similar way. He banged it. I don't know if the goalie saved it. I can't remember. I think the goalie might have just caught it because he didn't catch it quite as flush as Big Chris did. But yeah, I'm over the moon for the bloke. He clearly bleeds red and white when he gets a cut. He's done a lot of positive movement for his actual position in the team with that appearance for 30 minutes because, people like him and Jones are clearly game changers. And that's what we needed today, and that's what they did.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is the thing about the strength of our squad, is that you can bring decent quality off the bench. I mean, if you look at the 5 players that we brought on, they would probably all walk into most other teams in this league. It was one of those substitutes who had the final chance of the match on 98 minutes when Carl Winchester headed over another beautiful Mcguire free kick in the box, and the game ended 2-2. So I'm going to go into some of the 3-word reviews that have been sent in on the ROKER Report Twitter account. Quickly run through some from our colleagues on the ROKER Report. We've got Anthony Geyer saying that we're lucky fucking bastards, which is an understatement. Ant Waterson saying, hail the king. Gary Morris saying, thank fucking God. Some reader comments. We've got Kevin saying, daylight fucking robbery. And I think, again, you can't disagree with that. April Jane saying that was close. Jamie, SCFC saying, undeserved, but how? Evan Lloyd, take the draw. Ian Dennell, smash and grab. Mark Koopmans, well salvage point. We've got Gavin Evans, get out of jail. You can see the trend here. Which is that we're a bit blooming lucky with that. So let's go into the player ratings. I'll be taking the goalkeeper, as is traditional, and I gave Lee Burge a 5. I think probably could have been a 6. I thought you had a couple of uncertain moments. He did tip one over on 23 minutes. He had a nice save on 11. He was comfortable, but I think all round it was a 5. He conceded 2. Not that any were particularly his fault. Malc, I'll come to you for McLaughlin. Yeah,
I thought Conor was definitely one of our better defenders. I mean, he hasn't got much competition in McFadden, but I'll let somebody else talk about that chap. I gave him a 5 for the first half, and I gave him a 6, 6.5 for the second, because in the second half he put a decent ball in, and I think O'Brien put it over the bar. So he was trying to affect what was the outcome. Obviously, it's not a clean sheet. We've let a couple in, but Crewe are very, very strong at home. One of the strongest home records in the league. So I think I'll settle on a 5 for McLaughlin. The first half was shocking for all of the defence, but he did better in the second period.
Well, I went for a 6, and I'm just trying to pull up Jimmy's ratings now, and I think Jimmy's given him a 4. So there you go. I think you've split the difference.
5's a good average then, isn't it?
Pretty well. Yeah.
Mike, you can have Deon Sanderson.
Yeah, probably not Sanderson's strongest game in comparison to how he's been playing the last few weeks. He's been really impressive. He was strong in the tackle first half. I think he stood Porter up well at times, but maybe he got too close to him, which kind of he kind of put his foot in where he maybe didn't have to. Gave a couple of fouls away. Not great, but definitely got better in the second half. Had a chance to win it at the end. I suppose overall he was probably not our worst defender, but I've given him a 5 because it was a bad day at the office for most of the defence.
You've matched Jimmy there. I've given him a 6 because I thought he actually probably stopped us conceding on 3 or 4 occasions, but I think 5's pretty fair. So Malc, we come to Luke O'Nien.
Yeah, again, it wasn't a great day at the office for Luke either. I mean, you were quite right, Rich, in your summary where he really, especially a guy like him who does get goals even when he's playing out position, he really should have done better with that header to get us, another goal on the board. I gave him a 4 in the first half, but then I think apart from McLaughlin, who I thought was the strongest defender, I think all of the defenders were no better than a 4. I gave him a 6 in the second half because I thought he was getting involved a bit more. So I'm going to level him out as a 5 as well. Not a great day for any of the defence. Everybody's allowed an off day now and again, so 5's probably fair, I think.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I think I'll take Cal McFadzean.
Good luck with that.
well, where do we start? At fault for their goal, poor all round, got a yellow card. Didn't cut out the cross on 37 for the second goal. Jimmy has been extraordinarily generous in giving him a 0. So I don't know what that makes my 2. It probably makes it far too generous. But that was for literally 2 half decent balls down the line for Charlie, into space for Charlie Wyke.
Well, he gets a point for each.
Yeah, and half a point for each and half a point for lacing up each boot.
For turning up. Yeah.
So I come to you, Mike, for Lyndon Gooch.
Yeah, I suppose the narrative of Lyndon Gooch is continuing here, completely inconsistent. Other than the shot that he had in the first half in the 16th minute, he ran around a bit, I suppose is what I can say. He tried hard. I think he sort of lacked game intelligence at times where he was taking shots on where he didn't have to. There was probably a better option out to the wing to pass it off. But I mean, credit to Gooch, he did try, but it was a poor enough performance from him. I didn't really know where he was playing either. He was kind of, I didn't know, was he a wing or attacking mid or supposed to be in the centre with Scown and Power, but whatever it was, it didn't suit him today, and I have given Gooch a 4.
Yeah, I've given him a 4 as well, and Jimmy's gone with 3. I think 3.5 is probably a decent mark for him there. Malc, I come to you for Max Power.
Max had an okay day, I think. He was industrious. He did the lead bit of role reasonably well in the first half. All said, he wasn't given the opportunity to do it as well as I think he could because, as we've commented on before, the formation was just fundamentally wrong. And, we were giving them way too much space in the midfield. If I can do a half point, I'll give him a 5.5 because I gave him a 5 in the first half and a 6 in the second. But if we're not doing half points, I'll round him down to a 5 because I don't think he did a great deal of exceedingly special things. And I haven't got him written down of doing anything of significant note. So I'll probably call it a 5. And, hopefully we can learn from this experience in our midfield because we've definitely got to.
Yeah, you've matched up with both me and Jimmy there with a 5. I thought he was industrious. That's probably our best player in the first half, or up there with our best players in the first half.
That wasn't hard though, was it, to be fair?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
I'm going to take Josh Scowen, who had a funny game, I think. It was a weird performance. Too easily bypassed, I've got noted down for in the first half. He had a deflected shot wide, but I've got literally nothing written down from him in the second half, and he was on the pitch the entire time, which probably makes my 4 pretty generous. Jimmy's gone with a 3. Let's call that 3.5. I don't know. Mike, Aidan O'Brien.
Yeah, I mean, not much really to say about Aidan O'Brien either. I suppose lots of running. He tried to run down the channels. He had a couple of half chances, you'd call them. I think there was one decent one at the start of the second half. I thought he actually did kind of quite well, the way the ball came into him on the half volley. But not great, Rich, to be honest. And I think it was the right decision to take him off at the time. And I've given Aidan O'Brien a 4.
I think that was generous. I've given him a 3. Yeah. Just looking for him on Jimmy's ratings, and he's given him a 4. He's given him a 4. Oh. I'll tell you what, I'll take Charlie Wyke, and I'll let you have Geeds, Malc. Charlie Wyke, I thought he was decent. I thought his hold-up play was all right. He just had nothing to feed on in the first half. No. Second half, he missed a decent chance on 55. He seemed to be marked out of the game. But then his flick on the 96th minute was pretty crucial to getting the ball over to Chris Mcguire for that screamer. So I've given him a 5. It's probably a little bit generous. I don't know, but there you go. That's a 5. So I'll come to you, Malc, for Aidan McGeady.
Again, another poor day at the office for somebody who in recent weeks has been an absolute revelation. And for that reason, as I said earlier, we can't criticise people when they have a bit of a dip. One of the things that was recently said about Johnson's approach is, you've got to expect to lose now and again. And we could have lost today by 3 or 4-0 and we got a 2-2. I gave Mcguire a 4. I was erring towards a 3. I thought the first half he was incredibly wasteful. I think people are starting to get onto us. I think they're starting to double mark people like Mcguire and Wyke to take them out of the game. So he was very anonymous in the first half, trying to do too much at times. In the second half, he picked up a little bit. Really good ball into Charlie Wyke about 57, 58 minutes. That Wyke skied with his left foot. I think it was the right thing to do to take him off when we did. So I'll give him a 4. And I hope that he returns, as he has been in the last few games, because the guy's been untouchable at times.
Yeah, well, I think your 4's probably a fair average, since that I've given him a 3, and Jimmy's gone for 5, which is inexplicable.
That's pushing itself, I think.
I think that really is pushing it, seeing as though he touched the ball 3 times and one of them was to give it away in the middle of the park. Anyway, we've got subs. They were on for so long, I'm going to... Let's take them in turn, because they actually were the people who affected the game in the end. I'll take Jordan Jones. Running out the defence was fantastic. Brilliant goal on 75. I mean, what a finish. It was just outstanding. But good crossing on 81. He was winning the free kicks that Mcguire was getting in the middle. I think my 7 is a little bit harsh on him. It's the same as what Jimmy's given him, but we're going to argue about this, I think, in Man of the Match in a little bit. Mike, do you want... it's not fair on Grant to give him a rating. Do you want Chris Mcguire then, Mike?
Yeah, as I said already, the king is back. His deliveries were really, really good today. Was it maybe 4 or 5 crosses he put into the box, all on the money. We probably should have done better with them, and if we did, we could have won the game, which would have been inexplicable in itself. But made a serious impact. And what can we say about that goal at the end? Absolutely brilliant finish. Great to see him back in form, and hopefully continue it. I've given him a 7 as well.
7. I think that's a little bit harsh. I've gone for an 8. We got an 8 from Jimmy as well on that as well. So nobody's too far from one another on these ratings. Malc, I'm going to give you Jack Diamond and Carl Winchester together. What did you think of them two?
I think they both did well. I think they Diamond, stretched the width of the pitch quite well when he came on. He was hugging the touchline. He won a corner in the 70th minute that Wyke headed over, which on another day Wyke probably would have banged into the back of the net. So I think Diamond did reasonably well when he came on. So I gave him a 6. Winchester. Similarly, I think we were talking maybe before the recording, Rich, that, he was tidy on the ball. He didn't do anything stupid. He needs to step up now, because if Grant's shoulder injury or whatever arm injury he's got is going to keep him out for a few weeks, then Winchester's one of those guys who's going to have to potentially step into that midfield and fill the gap. He's one of the options. So, but I give Winchester a 6 as well. Decent performance. He probably wasn't ready to come on because Grant's gone on, and he might have come on a bit later on. But yeah, pair of 6s for Diamond and Winchester for me. Yeah,
you've matched up Jimmy perfectly there. I gave them both a 5. I didn't think they affected the game particularly, but there's no reason to not go up to a 6 for them. So we come to Man of the Match. I'll let you go first, Malc.
You're very kind. Thank you, Rich. So I think Jordan Jones deserves it. I do think he deserved an 8 rather than a 7, Rich, but everybody's got their own opinion, and I respect that. What he did for me was he turned their defence, and he did it successfully, such that for the rest of the half hour or so that he was on, 35 minutes or whatever it was with the injury time, he was winning free kicks by proving he can beat these people. And once you get the ref on your side with things like that, you're just going to keep building pressure in the opposition third and giving people like Mcguire the opportunity to drill those balls in and potentially win a game that you're happy that you even got a point from. So I think Jones is knocking on the door for a start, and he was definitely my man of the match today. He was, and that goal, bloody hell, that was absolutely stunning. I mean, we remember Gooch doing stuff like that, and some of the other players as well. Gooch for me is turning into the modern day Duncan Watmore. He needs to get his head up and stop running around like a headless chicken. But yeah, definitely Jones for me, and hopefully he gets a start out of this because he deserves it.
Great. And what did you have, Mike?
I'm going to go for Callum McFadzean.
Really?
There's my machine gun.
Because he left the pitch successfully.
No, I have I agree with everything Malc said there, but I went down with Chris Mcguire. Just I suppose maybe it's got to do with the fact that he hasn't played well for so long. When he came on, it was great to see him in the form he was. As I said already, his crossing was brilliant. He nearly assisted a few. It could have been a winner, and I thought obviously he got the last minute equaliser, which is what got us the point in the end. I mean, I wouldn't really dispute Jordan Jones getting it, but I think Chris Mcguire deserves it just as much.
Well, I've got the casting vote here then, and I'm going to go with Chris Mcguire. And I do think it is really, really close. So I don't think you're wrong necessarily, Malc. But I think when you come on with half an hour left in a game and you produce 4 bits of quality, one of which is a outstanding goal to get a point that we really hardly deserved out of the game, I think you can't not be man of the match when you do that. So yeah, absolutely fantastic performance by Chris Mcguire, and he gets out man of the match this week. So we come to rate the manager. Malc, what did you give Lee Johnson today?
I'm going to give him a 5. I think he got the formation wrong in the first half. To be fair to Crewe, they were a big part in their own success in the first half. So clearly they did their homework. They knew they could attack McFadzean. They knew that if they pressed and they didn't stand off us like other teams have, then they're probably going to get more fun and more joy. In the second half, I think the sub should have come on sooner, and we might well have won a game that we probably didn't even deserve to draw. But yeah, he's still doing a good job. He got a draw with the changes that he made, but that was a bad day at the office defensively, and the formation caused that, and he chose the formation, so he gets 5 from me.
And Mike, what did you rate Johnson as?
Yeah, I'd go one higher than Malc there. I give him a 6. I completely agree with Malc said about the formation. He 100% got that wrong. And I mean, you could probably argue that he got team selection wrong with certain individuals that are probably living on borrowed time at the moment. But at the same time, you have to, I suppose, even it up by saying he made the subs that made a difference. And I think it was a bold move to bring 4 players on at once. You would never see Phil Parkinson or even Jack Ross, for that matter, to do something like that. So you have to give credit to him for that. And obviously the subs he made got us the draw. So I think he kind of saved himself a little bit with those subs, and I'd give him a 6, yeah.
I find it hard to disagree with either of you for your reasons. My mark was actually 5.5 for very similar reasons, I think. Yeah, I didn't expect to see only one change. I thought we'd have more than one, and I think the fact that we only had one change at the start was a large part of why we looked so flat and leggy and tired in the first half. In the second half, he made the change when it was needed. It worked. It got us the point. It could have got us all 3 points. Yeah, 5, 6, I think. So that brings us to the end of this podcast. I just want to quickly give a shout out to the Sunderland Together fundraising campaign, which now has a target of £73,000. This is the opportunity to buy a commemorative ticket for the Czech Trade, or what's it called, Papa John's Trophy. I keep calling it
Pizza
Czech
Trophy.
The Pizza Trophy final in a couple of weeks' time against Tranmere. Obviously, we're not going to be able to be there, but you can go online and you can go to the crowdfunder. That's all over social media. The link will be in the description to this podcast. And if you donate a £5, you can get a commemorative ticket to print out. If you donate a £10, you can get a physical one sent to you. If you donate £100, you get some sort of match day package. I'm not sure how that's going to work with everyone sat at home, but it'll be interesting. It's a hospitality package. And yeah, it's a great effort by the Foundation of Light and the club as well. And all the proceeds go to the charities Washington Mind, to the Salvation Army, and to the Foundation of Light as well as Sunderland Food Bank. So brilliant causes. At the minute, there's so many people who are struggling. So many people have lost their jobs from no fault of their own through this pandemic. It's just wonderful once again to see the community in Sunderland, the citizens of our city and the fan base around the world coming together to raise an amazing amount of money. If they hit this target, we will have raised well over £100,000 the last few months for some of the poorest people in our community. So yeah, please do give what you can. So all that remains for me to say is thank you very much, Mark Dugdale.
Thanks for having us, Rich.
No worries. And thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Rich. Good talking to you.
Yeah, I need a beer after that. All right. Speak to you later.
I think we all do. Cheers,
all right.
fellas.
Ta-ra.